Oh, welcome back, baseball fans, to the 1970 card analysis part 3. We've looked at the series in two parts so far, looking at two divisions of the American League, North and East, and then the Midwest and West. Let's see if I can finish the entire National League tonight, as we know now who all the keeper waivers and retires are. So let's go to straight away to the National League East. We're basically taking a peek at just the keepers and the way all these decks are sorted, starting with Atlanta Braves, is that we have four of the keepers. That doesn't mean that these are the candidates, of course. The cards that are overturned are already in the league, and then there's a couple guys turned upside down that are on waivers. So what we're looking at here is in 1970, are we going to take one or two of these guys or take them in a different year? That's the analysis. We start right away with a absolute no-brainer. Rico freaking Cardi. My goodness. Hard to believe this card has not been in the league yet. That's because his 69 card, he hit 342, and it was just a matter of time before we unbelievably blew him up to 366. So the Atlanta Braves have something in store for the world champion New York Mets in the National League East next year. So you have Cardi. Maury Wills was traded for to play at short, plug-and-play shortstop, which they didn't have. Probably this guy, the top line, the double AB 1-17. You like that? Could even play third base if you need him to. Not probably this Negro anyway. His ERA is over 4, and not necessarily this George Stone either. He's pretty good. 387 is kind of high, but obviously with Cardi and Wills are probably the first choices there for the Braves. Next team is Florida. Their four keepers are, that's not their keepers, these are the, we got these upside down here. There we go. The four keepers are Pagan, and I don't have these in order of who I think is the best. This is just how they were sorted by position and so forth, or alphabetical or something like that. Hitters then pitchers. But anyway, I haven't really done a sort yet of who I like the most. Pagan, I know when you look at this card initially, you think it's not that great a card, but then you realize that he was on a team with a lot of great hitters. So he hits 265 with this card, and it's a surprisingly good card with versatility. Simone, again, versatility for an expansion team with power. You like that. Of course, Manny Mota. Now, you got a bunch of Manny Motas coming up, and you always want to hit 300. This one hits 305. Could be this one. Casey Cox is a candidate, but probably not in this particular year. All right, we'll continue. We'll go to the Mets, and then the Phillies. The Mets. Okay. Cleon Jones, we know he's going to be better in 71, so it's not a big deal to see this card. Jerry Grody, actually, this is almost the same as the 69 card. Still has the -3 arm. That's what you're always looking for, the arm for him or the defense for Harrelson. All right, so Seaver, believe it or not, you could take any Seaver you want. This one is fantastic. They have a better Seaver in 71 and 73, though. But if you're stuck with a 70 Seaver, you'll be pretty happy with that. Same with Koosman. Doesn't really matter with guys like this. Every year they're good. So you just kind of fit in those Mets players. Cleon Jones 71 will be key when we get to that box. And lastly, the Phillies. Jerry Johnson, I think he has better years. Fred Gladding, again, I think he's got a better year coming up. John Callison, probably this guy, yeah. Yeah, corner outfield guy, hit lefty, you can hit lefties. That looks like a keeper to me. 2 -4 arm, could play center. What is that, about 20 home runs? 19 homers, and yeah. Yeah, I like that card. And Grant Jackson, he's going to make a move to the bullpen soon. So not that one. So they're not really strong in 1970, as you could imagine. It is the Phillies. So it takes a while before and they might get Mike Schmidt this year. They could. He'll be really lousy. They should wait till 74. But they could bring up Schmidt's 73 card. Hit like 189 or something. Might as well just wait. Next up, the National League North. Starting with the Cubs. Okay, Sano. He's no longer a 1, but doesn't really matter much. That's a solid card. Certainly a candidate. Randy Hundley, -3 arm again. Certainly a candidate. Fergie Jenkins, starter 9, 300 innings, I'm guessing. 313, 22-game winner. And Dell Unser, no big deal here. But having 4 guys available is definitely good for that team. I'm not looking at the waiver guys because predictably they're not supposed to be that great anyway. There will be occasional ones I'll bring up when I remember who they are and where they are. Big Red Machine. Again, that's not the keepers. Here we go. So, what's so cool about this Pete Rose card is that it's not going to get into the league. And that's because in 1973, Pete Rose is the MVP. So that 73 MVP card at 338 will beat out the 316 card of 1970 with 15 home runs. I mean, it's ridiculous. It doesn't matter. 70 or 73. If you take the 70 card here, you're depriving that 73 card from a 4-year run, is how you have to look at it. So, but yeah, it's just, pick the year you want for him. Here's Lee May. You love the home runs. You're not really crazy about what he does against right-handed pitching, are you? So, 34 homers is 34 homers, but maybe. All right, this is the Dick Bosman you traded for because he's pitching over 200 innings with an ERA of 3, and you want to plug him into the number 2 spot in your rotation. That should get the job done. Better than the two starters they had before. He'll be behind Gullett. And Granger has pretty much the same kind of year, 265. Next up, the Pirates. All right, some good pitchers here coming up. Bob Moose, you're going to have a choice. This one's 398 and 190 innings. There'll be a better Bob Moose card coming up in the future, though. They went out and got Jim Rooker out of Kansas City. Not this card, with Kansas City still. This is a good card. He rotates 353 but with Kansas City. But in Pittsburgh, he'll have an ERA below 3. Richie Hebner, could be this one. You got a bunch of choices for Hebner, though. And now Oliver. We talked about getting this guy to play center field because you traded Matty Alou, because that's ultimately what happened with the Pirates. He doesn't play center field yet, so not this card. I also want to show one of the wavered guys. Bob Veal. So they put Bob Veal on waivers. Now look at his numbers, though. He's a Pirate. Pitches on the rotation with 392 ERA. But what the Pirates believed is, as a lefty starter, they're going to prefer Jim Rooker. And Veal's getting up there in age, and they're willing to let this guy go on waivers to continue his career. And this is a tough cut, because what the Pirates are doing is saying that we need more, we need better. If we're going to beat the Cincinnati Reds in this division, we got to be better everywhere. So they're not going to keep Veal or this guy, Rivera Pena. I'm going to do the St. Louis Cardinals, take a break and come back. And with the Cardinals, they had a rough year this past year. Julian Javier will continue. Good defense, steady player. Not much more. Rick Wise, steady player, steady pitcher. Has a long career with a bunch of teams. Nothing amazing here. But you got Lou Brock to bump up. And this is probably the Brock to get. Power both ways with the good range. His range will start to go away. Only a AA. I think it's a AAA card coming up. So it'll probably be this Brock. Yeah, you got to think this Brock or one of the future ones. Chuck Taylor has a surprisingly good long career as either a reliever or a starter. Versatility, righty gets righties out. Could be this card. Who did they put on waivers? Through a trade, Dick Schofield, a versatile shortstop, and Jackie Hernandez. No defense at short. They're on waivers for this team, like it matters. Okay. So we're going to put these two divisions away, take a little break, and come back with the National League Mountain and the National League West. All right, let's continue with the Mountain Division, a division that is every year it fluctuates a lot because the talent goes up and down because there's not a steady farm system since these are fictional teams. So 2 years ago, Colorado wins the division. Last year, Las Vegas, and right now Arizona is looking like they might be the favorite. Let's look at their 4 keepers. All right, Popovich is still steady defensively and versatile. That's why you like him. Dobson is an innings eater for the second year in a row, 267. I mean, not spectacular, but very effective. Now here they traded for Ken Tatum, the California closer, who was amazing for 3 years for the Angels. Now he starts to come down to earth a little bit here, and he's only got 1 more year left. That's why California would trade him. But he's excellent against righties. You got to watch that home run there. But obviously, if you made the deal, this is the guy you want to take. And another good guy, nice combo in the bullpen, Tatum and Knowles. This is a nice Darryl Knowles card. I think its ERA is 204 with a win-loss record for Washington Senators. But he'll have a few good cards. So if you prefer to keep Tatum and one of these other guys, then take a Knowles into the future. And I think their waived guys are Kurt Blefary. If I show more wavered guys, you'll see that they're not very good. Kurt Blefary, it's okay. Dave Boswell just fell off a cliff there. That's not very good. So that's the Arizona Diamondbacks. Colorado won the division 2 years ago. Then they really stumbled this past season, and they're going to have to improve internally with a lot. Ron Reed, it seemed like he's gone individual cards the last 2 years, and his card is up for the 3rd year in a row. He was in the rotation last year, and they're asking him to do it again in 1970. It's not very good, so you might want to pick a future year for Ron Reed. Rick Monday is up. He's still great defensively in the early 70s. Nice on base, ability to hit lefties, and an ace stealer. Nice card. That's a pretty cool looking card right there. Dick Drago, innings eater, 240 innings, 375 ERA is slightly high, but that's okay. And this Costco, they traded to get his 73 card, where he crushes home runs with like a 990 OPS. Not this one. And that is, wavered guys are Don Wirt and Bob Tillman. No big deal there either. Vegas won the division, but got bounced immediately in the playoffs. But they improved a lot. They made a lot of improvements. So Art Shamsky, this is a guy, believe it or not, from the New York Mets that I'm sure the 69 Mets would have missed. He hit 300 for him, and then he follows it up with a 293. But the Mets were fortunate enough to have Ken Singleton replace him in right field, and it all worked out. Shamsky has another good year. So it's another 1-year deal for Shamsky in Vegas, it looks like. Kubiak's defense at short is no longer as good as it was, but he handles the bat pretty well, slapping the ball around as a switch-hitting shortstop. Nice card. Improved his average to 252. Blue Moon Odom, I don't know if it's going to be this year. 381 is okay. He's a starter 5. I don't like starter 5s. Probably not. This Ray Culp they traded for because he's an innings eater. 251. They need innings pitched. They have too many guys with under 100 innings, and they have had to go with 5-man rotations, and that's not going to win you, season long. when you only have a 3-man bullpen. But that's a nice card for Ray Culp. That was a smart move, getting this guy to be your number 2 starter behind Bloomin' Odom and Woody Fryman. With Ron Herbal and Ramon Webster, yeah. So that's Vegas. All right, Portland, that technically finished tied with Vegas. Lost the tiebreaker, couldn't get in the playoffs. The versatile Jerry Kenny. Love this guy, but look, he doesn't play the outfield anymore, which is a shame. But a left-handed hitting infielder, oh, he doesn't have power anymore either. This might not be his year. Yeah, $193 and 400 at-bats. You don't want this. You got to think there's a better Jerry Kenny coming up. Now, you traded for Rich Reese for his monster 1969. So if you want to bring him back for 70, he would be an everyday first baseman. Not a particularly great one, 261, but a full season, 10 home runs. Jim Spencer-esque card for that. And for an expansion team, sure, you want an everyday. I tell you what, if you're an everyday left-handed hitter and hit lefties, you're going to get the benefit of the doubt if your overall production is only, it's not Willie McCovey territory, is it? So, but you give him the benefit of the doubt. With Belanger, you're looking for defense. A 2. If he's got a 1 in the future, I'd go for a 1. Though, really, his offense against lefties is okay. Against righties, it's particularly bad. And Nelson Browse has a good future year. Not this one. Definitely not that one. Okay, let's take a look now into the West. The Wild National League West, and we'll make a wrap of this video. Houston, the Houston Astros. Okay. Jim Merritt's coming back for more action. Starter 8. 20-game winner for the Reds. You're wondering, what's he doing here? That's what it's doing here. The Reds said, look, I don't care if you won 20 games for us in 1970. We haven't won a World Series yet, and we need to do better than a 4.08 ERA. And so that's why they balked at Jim Merritt, and the Astros picked him up. This is going to be a really tough card because you're not, 17%, yeah. And you'll be lucky to get 17% in the carryover league because teams can usually load up against lefties with right-handed batters. So that's not going to be a good look for Merritt. Toy Cannon's coming back for more action. Not quite as incredible as he was in 69. Durker, again, he's going to have a long Astro career. He's not as dominant as the 69 card, but y'all keep him. This Denny LeMaster, I don't know about this one. If he's got a better card in the future, I'd take that. And they waived Norm Miller. And they waived Joe Niekro. And you're like, why? Why did the Astros waive Joe Niekro? Well, folks, Niekro kind of goes into kind of a funk in the early 70s. And he doesn't really figure things out until the mid part of the decade. And matter of fact, he doesn't even play for the Astros at this point. So that's kind of why they let him go now. If he wants to catch on with another team, and he's certainly welcome to. All right, next team is the Dodgers. Okay, Willie Crawford. Not a great card, but he'll be good in 73. He'll emerge as that Dodger team eventually gets to the 74 World Series, and they start getting these lefty corner outfield types like Bill Buckner and Crawford competing for playing time. Buckner would say, well, I can play first base, and then you have, well, they got Steve Garvey at first base by then. So they're going to have to figure out where to put all these guys. But Crawford will emerge by 73 for the team. Messersmith, another great card. He'll have a bunch of these. ERA 3. Doesn't pitch in the rotation, though. Tommy John, another great card. On the rotation, 328. Losing record, though. Osteen, not this one. Yeah, he really dumped to 382. He'll continue. Different year, though. And they waived Tom Reynolds. And they waived Earl Wilson. Not particularly great. No big deal there. All right, we go to the Sands. The Yacht Rock haven of the Yacht Rock capital of planet Earth. San Diego Padres. They have 4 keepers, but only 2 actually are in 1970, and that's Joe Gibbon. Now, he'd be your lefty situationally, get his lefties out, and you got to watch him against righties. His ERA is going to be high, but again, it's the Padres, and they could use a situational lefty in the bullpen. Al Ferrara, fun guy, played DH in the past year. 2 more guys that are keepers, but they don't have 1970 cards, so the San Diego Padres must have saw something about them in 71, 2, or 3. So no more to analyze here, other than the 2 guys they put on waivers. Rich Morales, Frank Freeberger, yeah, it's the Padres, folks, and it's 1970, so they're not going to be particularly good. And the Giants, nice way to wrap it up. A team that has gone to the National League Championship Series 2 years in a row and lost. They lost to Cincinnati and they lost to the Mets. The Reds didn't win the World Series, the Mets did. Anyway, the Giants. Tito Fuentes. So his third base card was used last year and it hit close to 300. Now you see he's more versatile, but not particularly amazing. Still switch hitter. Just kind of meh here. 267's alright. No power, no speed. It's a pretty ordinary card. I'm not sure about this one. Sam McDowell. Now definitely part of that Gaylord Perry trade. McDowell won the trade in year 1. By the time 1972-74 rolls around, the Cleveland Indians will win this trade. But the performance for the Indians in 1970 will be picked up by the Giants. But that's all right, because the Indians are getting the Gaylord Perry performance. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next year in the 70-73 season between Gaylord Perry and McDowell, comparing them again. McDowell helped his team get to the League Championship Series. Gaylord Perry fumbled, went 2-8, and the Indians ended up in last place in a division where all the teams had losing records. So if Gaylord Perry flips it all around for the Indians, look out. But that's an excellent card for Sam McDowell, isn't it? Starter 9, too. What's not to like there? All right, Willie freaking McCovey. Hard to imagine this card's not in the league because, well, his 69 card was in the league the last 4 years with 45 bombs and a 320 average. It's hard to imagine that there was a card better than this one. Yes, folks, there was a card better than this one. But we'll settle for 289 and 39 bombs and 137 walks. So this card gets into the league with Sam McDowell, which means that Marichal, and this is not a big deal either, this Marichal card's not getting into the league because it's not a very good one. He kind of stumbles in 1970, as you can see. 2A, 4.11 ERA. So we'll have to look for 71, 2, or 3 for Marichal, and I think he's going to have another great year up his sleeve. 2 guys the Giants waived were Dean Chance and Hal Lanier, a long-time shortstop, but they have Chris Spire playing shortstop now, so they don't need this guy. And before we close this box for analysis, I want to mention that there were 4 retired players who actually didn't retire. And by that I meant we have 64 retirees for the 32 teams, but actually there are 4 more cards who retired, but they're still a Strat-O-Matic card for because they still played baseball. Now, in the case of Paul Doyle, it was a small innings pitched, so Strat-O-Matic didn't print the card, but I printed the card for 42 innings. But these are the 3 players who are retired, but they can come out of retirement and play for somebody. Unfortunately, though, it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. Bob Didier, no, that's not good at all. 149. Don Cardwell, he was the starting pitcher in the final game of the World Series. Went 5 innings, got the win because Tub McGraw came in and pitched the final 4 innings as the New York Mets won the World Series. And he was the starting pitcher. But something happened in 1970 to Cardwell. Not very good. So the Mets, that's why the Mets were proactive and went out and got Gary Gentry back. Gary Gentry, in the actual 1969 World Series against the Orioles, won a World Series game. So Gentry will replace Cardwell in the Met rotation. And then we also have a left-handed hitting Tom Matic, who actually has some versatility defensively as a left-handed batter, but without power and anything on the top row there, I don't think he's going to come out of retirement either. That's why I separate the retired cards if they exist, because obviously you don't have perfect math where you get the correct number of retires. So the only other analysis to do for this box next time we look at it will be to look at the pitchers and hitters who have not been in the league yet but have cards for 1970. And it's quite a lot of them, so that'll be for a future video. Thanks everybody for checking out these card set analysis videos. We'll see you next time.